Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episodes 6 and 7 of Quality Assurance in Another World. I was mildly perplexed last week when I realized that the second episode of the two episodes I knew we were getting came out like 5 minutes after I was done recording for the episode I put out last week. But I think it actually works out for the best because I think that these two episodes fit together better, so we'll roll with it. Anyway, this episode, or these pair of episodes rather, were very good and were very interesting, and they did some things that I thought were very unique. One of the things I thought was really cool is how they actually took advantage of the idea of frame rate to be able to get out of a dangerous situation. And they managed to do so in a way that it was clear to anyone who was watching as they explained it, but it was probably very amusing and personally enjoyable to people who are used to gaming and who are used to frame rate usually being a pain in the ass, as opposed to something used for good. It was interesting to see something that's usually a negative situation be turned around to be a positive in the context of the show and in the context of what was happening, and to see it be used as a way of having people escape. Another thing, of course, that was really interesting about this pair of episodes was the way that we saw stuff happen to the guy they're just calling Boss, and what happened to him in episode 6 versus what we discover in episode 7. In episode 6, of course, we see that the people he's been working with have essentially mutinied and have decided to have a coup and take him out of power. And they stuff that man with swords like he is a pincushion. He gets wrecked. Hardcore. And it's like, yeah, because he was such a puke. And it's like, good on you guys. But at the same time, I was kind of torn because he was starting to feel like his fun in the game world was over and he wanted to get out. And then these people who want to stay and torture people are the people who thought they were going to take him out of the picture so they would be able to do that. Well, it all ends like that at the end of episode 6 and everybody is shocked and everything. But then as episode 7 goes on and continues, we see that he is not dead because he actually had a device to revive himself, which for a moment we think we have the answer about revival in this game in general. And we think maybe it would work what Haga was trying to do earlier in the story. But then we realize he had an item and that there is definitely limitation and concern. So it was interesting to see that he came back. I also really like in episode 7 how we finally get to deal with these pukes who have been terrorizing everybody, and how we basically get to turn them into statues. And I think that the little rabbit man, I think his name is like Amano or something, but I'm not really sure. I'm so bad with names. But anyway, he gives a really interesting performance, pretending for a moment that he's going to join their side and going through some real hell, taking a dagger to the hand. Before, of course, enacting a master plan to make them pay for the way they're treating people and to deal with them in general. But by the end of the episode, in episode 7, we actually see that he isn't quite as straight-laced as we might think he is as far as his loyalty to our group, even after that performance, because the writers here did something that I don't normally see writers do, which is that they doubled down on the possibility that he might betray us. And this time he actually has a much stronger lens of motivation, because the boss man who comes back and revives himself and all that actually has a plan on how he can hypothetically revive Lou. And of course we know that for the rabbit, that is the thing he wants most, is the thing he wanted most was to get revenge for the death of Lou. But anyone who has ever experienced loss knows that if you had a choice between getting revenge on something that wronged you in some way or whatever, or getting back the person or thing you lost, of course you'd want the person or the thing. Revenge is just a weak-ass substitute. So we'll have to see what actually goes down there and just what this boss man will be asking for in return. We also seem to have a shift in how the story narrative is happening yet again, because in taking out the people and freezing them in place, we were able to get their debugger stones, and Nikola / the AI was able to omnom every one of those. So that situation seems like it's largely out of the picture. And it looks like our new challenge is going to be actually going through the game and taking it out. That is going to be kind of interesting, we'll have to see just how they do that, because it's kind of giving me parallel vibes to what we're seeing in Oshinoko Season 2 with the play. I don't necessarily think that it's going to come across quite in the same way that that has been doing, but it's interesting when we see a story telling a story within a story. That's just a really interesting and unique vibe that definitely has my interest at the moment, given stuff that's going on in the shows that I am covering. Overall, though, I thought that these 2 episodes were pretty solid, and I quite enjoyed everything that was going on. One thing I do want to say before I go is with regard to the rabbit's character, the situation with Lou, the fact that the rabbit couldn't get revenge on the boss man, and the way that the rabbit behaved toward the other debuggers, is that while we've seen this like debauchery and disgusting behavior from these debuggers that we took the stones from, there is actually a legitimate possibility that the rabbit's emotional connection to Lou, or even that eventually Haga's connection to Nikola, may actually prove to be more dangerous than the stuff that we have seen so far, because it's a lot harder to distance sympathy from the idea that they care about these characters, because in this world, these characters are actual people. And the way that the 2 characters here have behaved toward these people in the story world actually reflects better on humanity, which means that we're not necessarily going to be as inclined to be like, well, they shouldn't care, because we've bought into the story, we've bought into these characters, we've bought into their emotion. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking, so drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See you later. Bye!